Central Intelligence Agency is actively involved in mind manipulation of people here domestically. And that is completely against the CIA charter. You must understand, we have Congress, and they're just kind of like a peanut gallery. And then we have a super government that exists above Congress of the Department of Defense, which is the Pentagon, the Central Intelligence Agency, which is its own thing out in Langley, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They run the country. The intel agencies run the country.
I've been wanting to comment on this interview for a long time between Charlie Kirk and Justice Smith. This is an abridged version I comment on. I'm linking the full interview on their site in the description because I'm not going to gut their whole interview. And a lot of it I agreed with and had nothing to say. It's a fascinating watch. I encourage you to go look at it when you're done here. It's for the Proverbs Media Group and it was published October 14th, 2024. Watch this.
Hi, this is Justice Smith. Welcome to Proverbs Media Group, and today we have a very special guest, someone that I'm a big fan of, someone that we're all a big fan of here, an absolute brilliant, outspoken, accomplished young man, the illustrious Charlie Kirk.
Great to be here. Thank you, Justice. Absolutely. Great setup and honor to be here. And I love the name, Proverbs Media Group. So terrific.
Absolutely. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So today I'd like to begin and give our viewers a little bit of context about who you are, what you are, and why you are. You are the founder of TPUSA, something that is megalithic, and I want you to talk about what brought you there. How did that start?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I had a pretty traditional upbringing. The most important decision I made in my life was in 5th grade when I made Jesus Christ my Lord and Savior, and always loved the country. I wanted to go to West Point. So in high school, everything was about kind of working towards going to West Point, Eagle Scout, football captain, basketball captain, and ended up not getting in. And so I decided to take a gap year. It's been 12 gap years now.
This is from June 20th of 2012. Turning Point USA is a couple weeks old, and he's still telling someone on Facebook he's going to Baylor. On August 7th, Turning Point's creation is months behind him. He's still wearing the Baylor t-shirts. Baron Coleman featured this story on his podcast, and he's of the mind that someone older may have talked Charlie out of going to college. Maybe they even pressured him to not go. And it's not really to say that Charlie's lying, but it seems like the origin story is a little different than what we're being sold. Again, if Charlie wasn't taken from us the way he was, we wouldn't even care about this. We wouldn't even look into it. But everything started looking kind of strange, and people started moving pieces on everyone right away. So now everyone's going to explore everything.
And so, and after I decided to take that gap year, I said I want to start an organization and try to change the country and save the country for the causes of liberty and freedom and self-government. And I called it Turning Point USA. And now 12 years later, we're one of the largest organizations in the country, praise God. And we've just had this amazing impact. We have Turning Point Action, we have TPUSA Faith, Turning Point Academy, and it really has been the Lord.
Amen. I love that, and I admire what you're doing. You've brought together so many Americans, so many leaders, and you're influencing so many youthful people to actually get involved and want to learn about politics.
Thank you.
I think the Prove Me Wrongs were the most critical point of TPUSA. Having someone go in and sit with the students and interact with the students. And they've given that up since Charlie's passing, and I think that's a terrible mistake.
So I want to ask you, we're going to start it off easy, very lighthearted question. Okay. Who runs the world?
Who runs the world? Well, the scriptures say that Satan actually runs the world. He is the prince of this world. But currently, there's an oligarchy that's really hard to pinpoint of who's actually calling the shots. And that's really what's happening in this election, is that the presidency is no more. It's really kind of a shadow government of administrative experts that call the shots, that the president is basically just a Hollywood actor or actress that goes around, poses for pictures, produce speeches. They don't actually make any decisions. And so the form and the structure of government, as the founding fathers intended, is no more.
Please name a speaker who sounds like this, that has headlined any TPUSA event since Charlie's passing. What he sounds like here is Candace Owens.
The structure of government as they intended was co-equal branches, but the president, not just the presidency, has authority and can sign executive orders and can make decisions and can veto bills. And that individual person has agency. He or she has a team, but that is an individual person. That idea is gone now. We now have rule by committee, rule by group, and it really is a secret society that is governing the country.
This was a situation that President Kennedy feared, and President Kennedy spoke about in his secret society speech. I'm going to play an excerpt from the speech, and then we'll link the whole speech in the description.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
Who they are is a mystery. We have some idea, but it's permanent Washington that runs this country and most of the Western world. That's people like Anne Applebaum, like Victoria Nuland. These are names that your audience might not know. Obviously, Valerie Jarrett. These are Susan Rice.
Amber McReynolds is one of these people. She's running our post office right now. She was an elections mastermind behind the ballot drop boxes like in Fulton County and across the country. She's a Biden nominee to the Post Office Board of Governors. I don't understand why no one goes after her. Everything crazy in our elections was handled by this Soros operative. She sat at the fight back table with Michael Podhorzer when they deployed riots across the country in the summer of love in 2020, 2021. I don't understand how she remains in power. It's as if she's untouchable.
These are people that live and exist to strengthen the regime, to disempower the American citizen. They do not believe in borders. They do not believe in the welfare of the American people. They certainly don't believe in God. They believe in a very, very aggressive foreign policy position in the ever expansion of the American empire via NATO. And so right now, the people who run the Western world are permanent bureaucrats and technocrats. And then they are financed and funded by an even higher and billionaire oligarchy of George Soros, of people of that ilk and that background. And so you can see that the godless and the secular are increasingly calling the shots in the Western world.
Absolutely. Very well put. Who is your favorite musician?
Oh, Haydn. Which is interesting because he was German, I believe. I love Mozart too, born in Salzburg, actually. So I love Haydn because he's the happiest composer I can find in the sense of his actual work. It lifts you up. So my classical music, I don't think he was Renaissance era though. I think it was, I could be mistaken. But according to Dennis Prager, who's kind of my classical music teacher, if you will, if you want to go deep, listen to Beethoven. If you want to feel light about life, listen to Haydn. So I just love Haydn. I think that he's terrific. Can't go wrong with Mozart. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, for me, I should probably take some of that as a suggestion. I listen to too much Chopin.
Okay, there you go.
Kind of like
he's amazing, obviously. Especially the solo piano concertos are just so powerful.
Absolutely. Beautiful stuff. All of that romantic era stuff.
But do you know why it's beautiful? Is that Mozart, at the top of every single one, you know this, he wrote Glory Be to God. Before he wrote a single musical note, he wanted to glorify God through everything he did. And I mean, how many musical artists do that now? So everything he was creating was pointing up. Was pointing towards the divine.
Absolutely. Now, have you ever watched or listened to the play, The Magic Flute by Mozart?
No.
I highly recommend it. It's deeply esoteric, and it's about something that most people wouldn't ever expect.
All right, I have my homework, The Magic Flute.
Absolutely.
Watching these two young guys talk about the magic flute is astounding. It is excellent. I'm going to play a clip of it because you'll understand what the magic flute is. You've probably heard this piece before and may not have known it was from the magic flute, and we'll link it in the description as well.
Yeah, he was actually a Freemason.
Is that right?
And he made his final and most popular play about Masonic initiation.
Wow.
So when I went and first saw it under that context, it was really mind-blowing what you see.
I love that.
I highly recommend it.
I will. You got it.
And on that note, what do you think about the Freemasons? I've seen a lot of conspiracies and a lot of good stuff.
I don't have strong opinions about it, honestly. It could be right. I've known some people that have been Masons that have just been like regular everyday people. But I'm open-minded. I don't have strong opinions on it.
All right, cool, very cool. Now another current thing that is kind of fizzling out, but what's going on in Ukraine? I've been following it for years.
It's a tragedy.
And if you could maybe contextualize the Orange Revolution from 2006?
Yeah, well, I don't know that as well as the Maidan Revolution. So
Charlie's opinion on the Ukraine Maidan Revolution was amazing, and he gets so much right about the intelligence communities messing around in world affairs.
I can't speak to the Orange Revolution, but the Maidan Revolution was a CIA plot to get rid of, was it Poroshenko? I always get all these Ukrainian names wrong.
I think that's right.
I get them all wrong. But yes, essentially, there was a democratically elected leader of Ukraine. I'm going to get some of these details wrong, but I'll get the general thing right. That was very popular. And his whole message was, elect me and we won't go to war with Russia. Like, we don't have to be friends. We don't like each other because there's a lot of Ukrainian nationalism. But elect me and we're going to try to prevent war with Russia. And the State Department and the Central Intelligence Agency in America said, no way can this guy be allowed in office. So we executed what was known as the Maidan Revolution and just took him out. It was a coup in broad daylight, which then led to Zelensky. And Zelensky's basically a puppet of the Central Intelligence Agency. And effectively, we invited Putin to invade Ukraine. It was wrong that Putin invaded Ukraine. We must be morally clear. I'm not cheering for Russia. I don't want them to win. But I also think it's a terrible thing that we've allowed this to happen through a sequence of events. And it's one of the great human rights catastrophes in the modern era. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians are dead. Hundreds of thousands. And also, a lot of Russians are dead too. And we shouldn't celebrate with that. Like, I ran into this lunatic the other day. He's like, yeah, I'm really glad a lot of Russians died. I'm like, really? Like, that's...
So when I see 1 million dead Russian soldiers, that is a total American victory. The idea that Ukraine is going to lose the war, well...
No, you're disgusting. You celebrate dead people? That's just gross. That's why you liked abortion. It's just gross. That's just detestable.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I'm thrilled when I see dead... Okay, relax, buddy. I'm thrilled when I see dead Russian soldiers who invaded a sovereign country. I'm thrilled when I see dead Chinese Communist Party officials. I'm thrilled when I see dead Nazis. I'm thrilled when I see dead Islamists.
This is war. Like, these are families. These are brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles. And he's like, oh, well, Russia's like the Nazi Germans. Like, no, they're not, actually. Like, they're not a good country. I don't like Russia. But not every country you don't like is Nazi Germany. Okay, so like for Christians to talk that way too, there's a lot of Christians in Russia, a lot of them. And so I think it's really repulsive when people say that. And so what's happening is it's a bloodbath. Putin isn't advancing. He actually has been slowed down this last summer. I thought it would have been even more dramatic. He controls the eastern part of Ukraine, which wants to be part of Russia. They speak Russian. They're ethnically Russian. And hopefully we get President Trump and we get a peace settlement. And we must make a very bold declaration, which is that Ukraine will never be part of NATO. And one of the reasons why this war happened, two things. Again, I could talk about this all day long. Number one, we sent Kamala Harris, who's an idiot, to the Munich Security Conference, and she read off a teleprompter that she did not write, that Ukraine should be part of NATO, which is a direct signal to Russia that you're going to have missiles on your border.
It may seem out of character and harsh for Charlie to call a former vice president an idiot, but listen to her talk here. She's an idiot.
Let me start by saying I appreciate and admire President Zelensky's desire to join NATO. And one of, again, the founding principles of NATO is that each country must have the ability, unimpaired, unimpeded, to determine their own future, both in terms of their form of government and, in this case, whether they desire to be a member of NATO. And I'll put that in context because the obvious is also the point, which is that, and therefore no other country can tell anyone whether they should or should not join NATO.
So I want you to understand, imagine if Mexico all of a sudden said, we're going to be part of an alliance with Russia. We wouldn't put up with that. Or Canada. Number two, there was a peace deal that was potentially brokered in Istanbul, Turkey, a couple days into the war. And Boris Johnson and Tony Blinken went to Istanbul and they prevented a peace deal. And they said, no, this is going to be war because the American defense contractors and the American security state wanted bloodshed. They wanted war. They wanted a lot of missiles. And now the American taxpayer has paid $250 billion for us to get nothing. We are not safer. We're closer to a nuclear war. We're closer to World War III. And for what? What do we have to show for it? It is one of the great failures of American foreign policy in our country's history.
Absolutely. Completely agreed. Now, what about North Korea? Where do you think they stand in the regards of political policy, foreign policy? What do we need to do about North Korea?
That's a good question. It's a really sad country. First of all, it's an open-air concentration camp. I think Trump had the right approach. North Korea is a proxy of China. And so North Korea does whatever China wants. They will not launch a missile without China's approval. When North Korea scratches, it's the itch of China, right? It's one, they're attached together. We should try our best to try and thaw relations between South Korea and North Korea. Thankfully, it doesn't seem as if they're that belligerent lately, but I don't trust the current American regime to keep us out of a war with North Korea. And yeah, South Korea is a great testament. It's a beautiful country. It's 100 million people. A lot of them, it's a very Christian country too. And it's just a great juxtaposition between North and South Korea. I don't think we should go to war with them. I think we should do whatever we possibly can to try to thaw relations and try to liberate North Korea from the terror they're living under.
Absolutely. Yeah, as a Korean, I've always felt really invested in what's going on up there. It's like half of people just like me who might be funnier, might be smarter than me.
I know.
Are running around, not knowing how to read, not having access to clean water and electricity.
This is where Christians should care about politics.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the map, you've seen it, at night between North Korea and South Korea. That's a political statement. So politics matter. The South Korea politics are freer. It's a Western model.
Charlie's last trip before he was taken from us, he went to Korea. Pastor Rob McCoy, who had been to Korea several times, laid the groundwork for Charlie's visit and got Charlie involved in the very tense domestic politics of South Korea. And so it sounds like they were already priming Charlie for this, the way he's talking. There seemed to be a promise of a lot of money on the horizon for Turning Point USA from South Korea. And that's why they pushed Charlie there.
The North Korean politics are totalitarian and full tyranny. So your failure to get involved in politics is, and you happen to be born or at least descended from a lineage that's in a free society, not in one that is terrorized. It's one of the most dramatic examples of a free society versus terror.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Now, another one of the boiling pots in the Middle East. What do we do to make peace with Israel?
Yeah.
What's the right approach? What's the correct channel?
Well, first, we must be morally clear. Israel, Jews have a right to their homeland.
Yes.
That homeland is called Judea and Samaria. We must stand with Israel.
Yes.
And we must kill every last Hamas terrorist.
I couldn't agree with that more. I don't like Hamas. These guys are like in a camouflage suit, but they have an Italian restaurant tablecloth in their head. And they don't even do the proper ninja suit right. But we're told there's all these badass IDF commandos and stuff, all these badass Israeli commandos. Why don't they go in and get them? We've been sold the badass Israeli commando line since Snake Eyes. Dude, Snake Eyes was supposed to be from like Mach Visog and all this, and he's a ninja and all the 80s stuff, but he's got an Uzi. They didn't give him an M16 or the little CAR-15. They gave him an Uzi. And so nobody likes what's happened in Gaza. No one, I don't have any sympathy for Hamas, but they've killed a whole lot of grandmas, and Hamas is still around. I don't get it. Charlie Kirk didn't like it. He didn't like how they conducted this war. And I don't get all these people that are like, oh, we love Charlie Kirk and blah, blah, blah. But they want Charlie Kirk to shut up when it comes to wrapping up this war in Gaza.
They might have gotten a tip. They might have gotten whispers, but no one thought it would be 1,200 Jews dead. That's a potential, right? Because here's the essence of it. The essence is this. This is the closest thing to the Holocaust that any of us have lived through. But the fact is now Bibi and the Israeli hard right government has a mandate. I got to be careful the way I say this. They're going to try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Yep. I mean, that's, and I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there, okay?
I mean, can it even be called a war? They bombed Gaza into rubble. It looks like a dystopian video game. It looks like Fallout 3. Fallout 3 or Gaza? Who can tell the difference? How did they miss? How did you not kill all the Hamas with this? I don't get it. Maybe it has something to do with the fact Bibi Netanyahu was talking about controlling the height of the flame when he got in trouble for allegedly funding Hamas. No one wants to talk about that.
Nasandak. Yeah. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies close. קיים איתו שיחה, קיים איתו תוריד את הלהבות. קיים שיח, אני אתן לך דוגמה. היום אנחנו מקיימים עם אויבים שלנו. אף אחד לא חושב שנגיע איתם לאיזשהו הסכם, אי אפשר להגיע להסכם, לא איתם ולא הם לא איתנו, וכל אחד יודע את זה. אבל אנחנו שולטים על גובה הלהבות. תרתי משמע. עכשיו במקרה של נמרוד...
The public blames Netanyahu for October 7th as the one who fed the beast.
That's number one. So there's three problems. The first problem is Gaza. The second problem is the West Bank, which is different than Gaza. And the third problem is Iran. And so they're all interconnected, but they're different. So once you come from the first principle that Israel has a right to exist and that Israel is a moral country in the Middle East that makes mistakes and their government's not perfect. I've been critical of their government at times, but the idea of Israel is irrefutable and it's pure and it's good.
Now, I have to say, this part is a little tough. Israel has a pretty controversial beginning. modern Israel from 1948 forward. That being said, I don't think they're going anywhere. And as far as them being an ally to us, I don't mind supporting them in their own country. But sometimes we just have to disagree or draw the line on things or say when we think they're out of line. They should never have allowed officials to go before the Knesset and declare Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens as enemies of their state. It is dangerous. And frankly, it's an act of war.
So then what do you do about the Palestinian Authority? Okay, well, Gaza is on the southwestern tip and it borders Egypt. The solution for Gaza is for America to come in and demand that Egypt and Jordan absorb the people of Gaza and they govern Gaza. Egypt and Jordan do not want to do that, but we must demand that.
Instead, we bombed them to dust, and Jared Kushner got a really good real estate deal. And Hamas is still around.
The people of Gaza, better said, Hamas is ill-equipped to ever govern again in Gaza, period. That should never be allowed. So now we go to the West Bank. The West Bank is actually on the eastern part of Israel. It's confusing, but it's Western Jordan. That's why it's called the West Bank. And it's traditionally called Judea and Samaria, which is where you have Nablus and you have Hebron and you have a lot of different pockets of Palestinian Authority-controlled territory. That needs to be absorbed by Jordan. They don't want it either, right? Now, finally, Iran. I mean, when Iran is consistently saying that they want the death and the eradication of Israel, it's hard to have peace. So the best solution here is what Donald Trump did. Is to be strong, is to be confident, is to show American force without endless war, and say, if you even put a step out of line, we will take you off the face of this earth. That is the solution.
Absolutely. That's the way it needs to be done.
Yes.
The precedent that was set under Donald Trump's presidency was we're not going to do business with the Iranians, cut their resources, the infrastructure is weakened. Yes. They can't fund the Hezbollah and Hamas. It's a very strategic method that they used there. Exactly. So we definitely need Donald Trump back.
We desperately need Donald Trump back.
That's right. Now, I got to ask, you are friends with Trump.
Yes.
You've probably spent a good amount of time with him.
He's the best.
Absolutely. Do you have any juicy inside stories that you haven't told the world?
I just think he's a great person. He has flaws. We all do. He's treated me and my wife so well. I remember once on Easter Sunday, we were at Mar-a-Lago. This is well before we had a family, before we were married. And we saw Trump. He called us over to his table. And he's like, oh, just come fly in the plane with me. So we flew in Air Force One on Easter Sunday.
Wow.
Easter Sunday, 2019, I think. That's really amazing. So you never forget stuff like that. But he's always been there for me. He's been so loyal. He's been so good. He loves this country. And unlike most politicians, he deeply cares about the future generations. He's poured into Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. And we try to reciprocate because I think he's terrific. He loves his grandkids. He loves the country. He believes in God. He believes he's definitely on a spiritual journey. But yeah, I don't have anything I will say one of my funnier Trump stories was back in fall of last year. It's like October of last year. I went and visited him at Mar-a-Lago. No one was there. It was a ghost town. And he's just walking around the club with an iPad listening to Phantom of the Opera. On full blast.
That's epic.
Walking around, just be like, oh, Charlie, I want to play this. Like, just Phantom, be like, wow, okay. We're talking. It's like the whole place is shaking with Phantom of the Opera. He loves good music.
Wow, that's my new anthem. I'm going to listen to that after.
Phantom of the Opera. You listen to it, you think of Trump.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's perfect. That is very perfect. So, from the policy angle of Donald Trump, let's kind of go through and look at crime, for example. What is the best way to tackle the war on drugs? Do people need treatment? Do they not need treatment? How do we actually fix this problem?
Well, there's two things. So you have users and you have dealers. So the first of which is dealers must be dealt with far more harshly. They must be put in prison for much longer periods of time. Secondly, you must close the border. There's too much supply, which then leads to too much usage. And so we have to secure the border. And I think that Donald Trump should entertain strategic military action against the cartels. I don't say that lightly. Again, the first day of office, President Trump can and should call the woman, I don't remember her name, the woman running Mexico and saying, if you don't secure the border of Mexico, there's a 200% tariff on every good coming from Mexico to America. That thing will be secure in an afternoon. She'll mobilize the Mexican military. That thing will be secure. Number two, he'll say that you have a 20-day notice. Every single fentanyl plant, every single cocaine plant needs to be shut down. Here are the 15 locations. And if they're not shut down, I'm going to send fighter jets and we're bombing them ourselves in 20 days.
It is fun to watch the pre-2025 Charlie Kirk talk about this stuff. But he joined a lot of us in this great awakening where we realized the intel agencies have been out of control. And just like they seem to be involved with a lot of human trafficking, they've pretty much been running the drugs too. So if we bomb all these places, we're probably going to bomb some intel agents or people that work for them.
Wow. And that is the way to do it.
And like, that's it. Like, I mean, by the way, what is Mexico going to do? Okay. What Mexico's going to fight back? Like, give me a break. Okay. We're in charge, not you. Our people are dying. That's the way that our president should act. Our people are dying. You're not. You have a 20-day heads up. Okay, so after the border is secure, if you do not shut down these 15, because we know where they are, we literally can look at them on satellite imagery. Here's where they are. Cartels bring in all the raw substances. They have huge chemical plants there. They have chemists that come in, mix them together. They distribute them out there. If you do not shut these down, if the Mexican government does not go in to the Sinaloa region and go in and do it itself, we're going to just go send fighter jets and we're just going to start dropping bombs on them. And then, yes, the third part of that is that anytime a cartel member is seen on the border and comes in the interior United States, they should be fired upon by the U.S. military. We are being actively involved by a foreign force called the cartels, and it's time we start treating it like an invasion. This is not a migrant crisis. This is a military operation.
Given your worldview and given how much you've read and experienced, what are your predictions for this country going forward?
Boy, I'm out of the prediction business. If Trump wins, we'll be in a good spot, I think. I mean, I think that there still is an economic catastrophe that's coming regardless if Trump wins or Kamala wins. But I think Trump will be able to navigate it and maybe even prevent it. If Kamala wins, we're going to be in a bad spot. We're going to be in a real bad spot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not going to stop fighting. God's in charge. Jesus is on his throne. But if Kamala wins, we're going to be in a rough spot.
Yeah. The one thing I'll give the left, specifically the Biden administration, is that they've pulled higher than anyone ever in the cemetery.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
They are able to get the 150-year-old vote really well.
Yeah, they capture that audience so well. I don't know what it is.
If you are at all familiar with this channel, you know I was an elections investigator in the 2020 election. I'll put a link to a playlist about it in the description. Go check it out.
So, switching gears a little bit.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the CIA operation Project Stargate?
Stargate? No. I know many of them. I know COINTELPRO. I know Paperclip. I know Mockingbird. I don't know that one.
All right. So the objective of Operation Stargate was to measure the vulnerabilities and capabilities of paranormal phenomenon in conjunction with military operation. So they were employing psychics. Yeah. It was a lot about mediumship and ESP and kind of seeing what we could accomplish with remote viewing. Have you read into any of this kind of stuff?
I haven't, no.
Oh, I got some books I'll give you.
Okay, you got to give
some interesting stuff.
All right.
There's a man named Russell Targ. He was the former director of this operation. He was a CIA agent, and he gives a little background into how he was recruited. And from the intelligence agency standpoint, a lot can be inferred by the actual metrics by which they chose to find a man that they deemed to be a psychic. And one of them was that he was claiming to see these little orbs of light. He had a near-death experience, and he claimed there's no such thing as death, that there is another birth. And I think that's powerful stuff.
Well, I'd love to learn about it.
Absolutely. I'll make sure to get that over to you.
So the Stargate Project, and I'm not throwing cold water on these young guys talking about this stuff. I love watching it, and I love people learning about this. But Project Stargate got a little bit discredited because they had Uri Geller in there, who's the Ben Spoons guy, and he got thwarted by the skeptic, the amazing Randy, years later. So it kind of took a bruise, Project Stargate, kind of hurt the mystique of it a little bit.
All right. So tell our audience a little bit about COINTELPRO.
Boy, Operation COINTELPRO, I got to remind me which one is which. So I think that's mind control, if I'm not mistaken.
MK Ultra.
Okay. Is that MK Ultra or is COINTELPRO different?
I believe COINTELPRO, now I might be mistaken, but I think it has something to do with trafficking. Now,
okay,
MK
no, you
Ultra
might be right.
mind control.
No, you're totally right. Yes. I don't quite remember COINTELPRO. I just remember the name of it.
COINTELPRO is something, Charlie, it's in his head because it was kind of done to Turning Point USA. COINTELPRO went from like 1956 to 1971, and it was the intelligence agencies, the FBI really, surveilling and infiltrating American organizations and political parties. Just trying to mess stuff up, doing astroturfing against us, working against the American people. Allegedly it was ended, but they just do it through other agencies. The IRS went after Turning Point USA for violating COVID regulations with masks. So a senator, I believe he was in California, was seeking an IRS probe, and it started all the targeting of Turning Point USA in that era. So that's probably why it's on Charlie's mind like that.
I could talk about MK Ultra. That one I actually know better.
Oh yeah, let's do MK Ultra.
MK Ultra was when, so for example, the Unabomber who just recently died. Oh my gosh, I know. No, it's not Timothy McVeigh. Oh my goodness. I'll think of it in a sec.
Put it on the screen.
Yeah, oh my goodness. How do I not remember the Unabomber's name? Anyway, the Unabomber, who was a professor of mathematics, was a victim of CIA mind control operation. This is all well documented. So he was used as experimentation for CIA mind control, MK Ultra, and then ends up becoming, this kind of very violent, obviously, and disturbed person in the hills of Montana. I think it was Montana, yeah, and starts sending around explosive devices. And he had this manifesto. And the manifesto that he wrote was all about like the warnings of technology, but his kind of psychosis was induced by MK Ultra, which was, so the Central Intelligence, we know this because of the Church and Pike Committee that was constituted in the 1960s and 70s by Congress to look into all of the activity by the Central Intelligence Agency. And so we learned about the heart attack gun, where the CIA can make it look like you had a heart attack by just shooting, a dart at you, taking the dart out, and then it mimics a heart attack. Makes you wonder how many people in public life actually have had a heart attack gun against them. That
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, or Andrew Breitbart, right? You never know. Yeah, Stanley Kubrick. Interesting. I never thought about that.
Okay, so MK Ultra came out of a thing called Project Artichoke, and Project Artichoke actually was initially called Project Bluebird. So it was Project Bluebird, Project Artichoke, MK Ultra. The heart attack gun they're speaking of comes from MK Naomi. A Democrat Senator Frank Church held what's called the Church Committee hearings and exposed some of the stuff that our intelligence agencies were using against us. And this weapon was called the non-discernible microbionoculator. The non-discernible microbionoculator. The heart attack gun. Here is Frank Church himself holding up a non-discernible microbionoculator, or a heart attack gun. Now, Charlie and Justice were discussing the use of a heart attack gun, possibly against Andrew Breitbart and Stanley Kubrick. Now, I have no idea why they would say that. Just because Andrew Breitbart was starting a website called Big Hollywood, where he explores all the corruptions of Hollywood, and Stanley Kubrick just finished Eyes Wide Shut, where he was exposing all the corruptions of the ruling elite, I have no idea why anyone would want to use such a thing against these guys.
And so the essence of the MK Ultra was that the CIA was actively involved in trying to proliferate mass mind control, and also being able to find an individual subject and be able to change their behavior and maybe turn them into someone who was violent, who otherwise was not, to turn somebody into someone who was very manipulative, otherwise would not. So you could take a subject, and they do this through very similar to Clockwork Orange, very similar, right? If everyone's seen that very disturbing movie where they like keep your eyelids open and they show you films, that is like an example of MK Ultra, where they take you and you completely change, and you're damaged. And they did this a lot with psychedelics too. They would give patients psychedelics to see if they could turn somebody into like a school shooter or something.
The MK Ultra program was really good at developing patsies. There isn't evidence that they were able to directly make an assassin, like a turnkey assassin, but they're able to get people to go in and make a mess. So like Sirhan, for instance, is widely suspected of being an MK Ultra patsy. He runs in a room, empties his gun, no discernible target, hit a bunch of different people, but RFK's security guard is the one who really killed him. That's been proven. Why Sirhan's still in prison is a gross injustice. And Sirhan has a childlike mind and doesn't remember the incident. And people who were shot by Sirhan have advocated for his release. The patients were kept in this place called the Allen Memorial Institute. They were pretty much tortured, isolated. They were forced to take a lot of drugs. They would repeat sounds and music on them and drive them crazy until they broke and were malleable. It was a crazy thing. Unbelievably wicked.
Charles Manson.
Charlie Manson is another. Yeah, he was a MK Ultra. Well, I don't know if we know he was for sure.
There's a lot of speculation.
No, that's right. No, actually, in the book CIA in the 60s, they believe Charlie Manson was.
Charles Manson, notorious for the Tate LaBianca murders, but also he tormented Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. He got involved with the Beach Boys during their recording heyday, and they even took a song from him and rewrote it. I forget the song. Allegedly, he murdered someone in front of Dennis Wilson, and Dennis confessed to Mike Love what happened. He shot someone, and it terrified them. And when the murders happened, the Manson murders, everyone locally figured it was him because he was such a crazy ass. He acted so crazy and abusive. It is alleged the entire Laurel Canyon hippie scene was a CIA psyop in order to discredit the anti-war movement, and they were doing these experiments on people, and they gave rise to a lot of the chaos of the 1960s. And in fact, the book Charlie Kirk is referencing, I don't think it's called CIA in the 60s. I believe he's referencing Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the secret history of the 60s. In fact, I'm almost positive this is the book he's talking about. We'll link it in the description.
Boy, I can't believe I can't remember the Unabomber's name. Anyway, so
it's all right. Yeah. So the real question is, I know one thing about the CIA is they're not going to leave until they get results. The MK Ultra program, when it was declassified, they announced that it was
Ted Kaczynski. I'm sorry, Ted Kaczynski. Goodness gracious.
Yes.
They don't pay me enough for this stuff. Ted Kaczynski. I'm sorry. Now I finally got it.
Don't worry about it.
All right.
Do you think the MK Ultra project ever actually ended, or just went
No,
under
we
a
have,
new name?
I mean, we have no evidence that it ended.
It is alleged that Project Naomi took over for it. All the MK Ultra stuff was just dumped into Project Naomi.
And I mean, also we have Operation Mockingbird too, which was another CIA program, which was that they were going to take over all the news networks and have symmetry in their broadcast communications. No, the Central Intelligence Agency is actively involved in mind manipulation of people here domestically. And that is completely against the CIA charter. You must understand, we have Congress, and they're just kind of like a peanut gallery. And then we have a super government that exists above Congress of the Department of Defense, which is the Pentagon, the Central Intelligence Agency, which is its own thing out in Langley, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They run the country. The intel agencies run the country.
I agree.
People don't run the country. The executive branch doesn't run the country. This is why they hate Trump, because Trump was the first candidate since JFK to actually want to declare war on the intel agencies and bring the power back to the sovereign. And both him and Kennedy got shot.
It is so heartbreaking to hear this because since President Trump's election, he doesn't even investigate his own assassination attempt. We know very little about Thomas Crooks. It's gross that that hasn't been explored. The war in Ukraine rages on. There were strikes in Venezuela and Iran. I mean, Venezuela has been overturned. And people can argue about that, but look, he campaigned on no new wars. The Epstein Files was a total debacle. He said people shouldn't support him if they want to see them. The ICE raids really seem performative to a lot of people and unnecessary. We just, deport criminals. Let's go. And the H-1B visa issue, a lot of people think that was a huge betrayal. And then there's this push for over $1 trillion in spending on the Pentagon. What? It's not what people wanted.
What's the possibility that the recent attempt on Trump's life, was a Manchurian candidate?
We have some evidence that there's suspicion. I want to be really precise.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, looking at what the CIA has done before, it makes you wonder. Because if you look at what MK Ultra was and how they wound people up and how they disturb people. Again, this kid was most likely just a run of the mill, deranged, disturbed individual. But there's a lot of just suspicious stuff that happened on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. A lot of suspicious stuff.
Absolutely. I want to take it to kind of a lighthearted place.
Okay.
This will be fun.
You're a good interview. I love these questions. So much better than the usual stuff.
Oh, I appreciate that. I really do. This game, if you're up to it, is called Describe Them in One Word.
I love this game.
All right. Donald Trump.
Courageous.
This is pre-election Trump, and Trump was definitely seen as having balls of solid rock. He was definitely enjoying a post-assassination bump. 2025 and 26, it's not the same. That business of telling everyone to be quiet about the Epstein Files was crazy. And that alone probably destroyed the midterms, or at least made it a lot harder to win them.
I agree. Kamala Harris.
Treacherous.
I would have said incompetent, because Kamala Harris was totally incompetent at everything she did and attempted. She's a paid girlfriend of the California mayor. She's heels up Harris, and that's how she rose to the top.
Elon Musk.
Eccentric.
You got a retweet from him today.
He follows me now on Twitter. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I love Elon. I've followed him my whole life. I've read everything about him. Not everything, but I've read all the books, especially the Walter Isaacson book. I've read it carefully. I think he's so special. I hope to meet him one day.
I'm sure you will. Vladimir Putin?
Complicated.
I agree. Kim Jong-un?
Boy. Petulant.
I agree.
He seems very childish to me. So that's why I use the word petulant.
It's a good word. Kanye West?
Confused.
For Kanye West, I would have said traumatized. He's had his family taken from him. He has people messing with his life. His trainer threatens to drug him and take his kids away. The dude is traumatized.
Joe Biden?
Confused.
Hunter Biden?
Oh my goodness. Very damaged. He's a damaged person.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. Anthony Fauci?
Evil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's an evil human being.
I agree. Ben Shapiro?
Smart.
Yes. Candace Owens?
Awesome.
Charlie Kirk?
Flawed.
I can't agree with flawed. I understand why he says it, but I would say loving. No one has taught me more, outside of my wife, no one has taught me more about being loving than Charlie Kirk.
I would use a different one, but I like it. I appreciate your humility. You're awesome. I would say that you're a
very sweet.
fighter, a legend.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Jordan Peterson.
Oh, wow. I would say he is interesting.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
you only give me one word, so I have to
Yes.
package so much into one word.
Of course. I love Jordan Peterson.
so great.
The new suits he has these days.
Yeah, well, I
need
don't
to
know if I
find
like.
one of
I don't know
those.
if I like the split.
The two color one.
Not a fan.
Never seen anything like it.
Yeah, the blue and the red. It's a little too
Right.
much for me.
Sure. Bill Gates.
Oh boy. Cunning.
George Soros.
We said evil before, but I have to repeat it for George Soros.
Yeah, absolutely. Klaus Schwab.
I'd say technocrat.
Technocrat is a good answer. I call these people control or controllers. People like Klaus Schwab, to me, are a scourge on the planet.
He wants to micromanage your life. He's so much in that German model of the Council of Experts. Very Prussian.
Absolutely. Now going back into history a little bit, Friedrich Nietzsche.
Friedrich Nietzsche. Wow. I only get one word.
No, this one you can talk about it in depth.
Well, Nietzsche is so complicated. He, of course, wrote Beyond Good and Evil, and thus say Zarathustra. He lost his mind towards the end of his life. But he was the first person to lament the death of God in the West. Remember, he said God is dead. And he meant that as if the belief in God is dying in the West, and be careful what you're going to invite next. He basically predicted the Holocaust and the Communist Revolution. I would also say he was complicated.
Yes.
Nietzsche did a lot of good, and there's a lot of really dark nihilism in his writings. A lot.
Absolutely. What about Voltaire?
Oh, I don't like him very much. I mean, I know one quote from Voltaire. He also was kind of a communist, if I'm not mistaken, kind of like a Marxist revolutionary. The quote that everyone quotes is, I might not agree with what you say, but I'll defend your right to say it to my death. I'd say he's overrated.
Okay. I agree. I hear you there.
I have to say, I think Charlie is harsh on Voltaire. And I think Voltaire's best quote really is this one. I have never made but one prayer to God, a very short one. O Lord, make my enemies ridiculous. And God granted it. I think that's awesome. That's an awesome quote.
How about Pythagoras?
Very useful theorem. So I'd say useful.
Yes, that's right. And my favorite of them all, going back into the modern day, Elaine Beck.
Oh, Elaine Beck. Oh, my goodness. She's courageous, and she is a disciple of God, and she is bold, and she loves the Lord. And I mean, she's the type of person that everyone should look up to and say that she's fighting for her country and for the kingdom. She's a Proverbs 31 woman.
Absolutely. I agree. Now, imagine this. You just now were given the ultimate power of the world. You are the grand pontificate, dictator, king, prince, all of it. You run everything.
I hope not. So scary.
Yeah. Well, just for this thought experiment, what would be the first policy you put in place with unchecked power?
Of the world or America?
Let's do America.
Well, of America, my goodness, I would first and foremost seal the border, deport the foreigners. So I don't have to go through Congress. I can do whatever I want.
Yep.
Wow. I would, by decree, I would immediately bring in the U.S. military and the National Guard into the major U.S. cities and stop the crime wave. I would go into the education system and completely blow up the current form and fashion and make it bibliocentric again and with God at the center. I would stop the war between Russia and Ukraine. We would audit the Federal Reserve.
Clearly, Charlie Kirk was anti-war, and now you have the Fed audit and tax cuts. This young guy was so not a Republican in this way. He was a true conservative libertarian. It would be nice if people really listened to Charlie Kirk instead of pretending to listen to Charlie Kirk.
And we would balance the budget immediately. We'd balance the federal budget and stop borrowing money. We would dramatically cut taxes, and the size of the federal government would be reduced significantly from $6 trillion a year to $1.5 trillion a year. And we would cut taxes across the board. The economy would boom overnight. Yeah, those are just some of my ideas.
Yeah, maybe we should give you that authority.
So what I would do as
possible.
dictator is I would make government smaller.
Thank you.
I would be the first dictator in human history that would give power back to the people.
Wow. The power to relinquish power.
That's what I would do. And then, but if I had to use power to go after the cartels, I would.
I can appreciate what he thinks he's saying here, but I think he'll be disappointed to learn that our intelligence agencies are sometimes the drug dealers.
And then I would send China a big invoice for COVID and say, you owe us $10 trillion.
Yeah, that they do. That they do. The pandemic was an ugly thing.
No, I would. I would put tariffs on China, too.
Yeah.
Day one.
I agree.
Yes, the COVID pandemic was very ugly. However, there is there's some discussion that maybe we made it here in North Carolina instead of in China.
And I think that would have a trickling effect all throughout Asia. It would also weaken North Korea.
Yes.
It's a great move.
I would defund Planned Parenthood, defund NPR.
Oh, yeah.
Overnight. I'm just getting rid of that.
Yeah.
I would do what I can to try to, fight for life, try to get rid of these ridiculous abortion clinics, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Now, I watch a lot of your videos online. I've been watching you for years.
Well, thank you.
All of my friends have been watching it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What's up, guys? But I just wanted to ask you, what's the most insane experience you've had with some of these libbies out here? Because I see people come attack you, man. And
we got a lot of crazy stuff. The craziest, still, this is undefeated, was when Candace Owens and I got run out of the restaurant in Philadelphia.
What happened?
Yeah, it was well documented at the time. It was back in 2018, 6 years ago. Wow. We were having breakfast in Philadelphia. And it was like she lived in Philadelphia at the time, and it was like her favorite breakfast place. We went in there 7 a.m. right as it opened. And as it opened, I was like, hey, Candace, those guys over there, I think they're part of Antifa. The night before was an all-night anti-cop protest. Oh. And it was like, okay. So we're having our meal, and we look out the window. Within like 20 minutes, there were like 200 people out there protesting us. They come into the restaurant. They start screaming at us. They drive us out of the restaurant. All these cops had to be mobilized. That still is undefeated as one of the craziest campus experiences. I mean, not campus, just experiences in general, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
When you hear Charlie Kirk talk in his many interviews, many of his best experiences were with Candace Owens. And people have noticed. People noticed then, and that's why they had to separate the two.
That's unreal. I pray that God has a shield over you because
so.
I really believe in what you're doing, and I know that God would be very proud.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to warn you, this is the most controversial question
Okay.
of the entire thing.
All right.
And there is a right answer.
All right.
Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Oh, yeah, I think they're both awful. I would say probably Kendrick Lamar, not because of his music. His music's terrible, but he hates pedophiles. So I'd have to go with Kendrick Lamar. To his credit, again, his music is noise. It's objectively terrible music. And it's like really explicit. But to his credit, he has 2 kids. He stayed with the same woman for a while. He's not married to her. Okay. But like grading on the curve of American rappers, Kendrick Lamar is much better. And he went hard against pedophiles. So he went up in my book.
Awesome. That brings me such joy.
So I knew a little bit more about pop culture than people would think. So we go from Aristotle to Kendrick Lamar.
That's right. That's right. A lot of juxtaposition. Oh, yeah. We like to keep it fresh and fun.
Anyone who hates pedophiles, I think he's fine.
Yeah, good in my book.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
For all of you out there posting tributes to Charlie and purporting to have loved Charlie, I want to remind you that he wanted none of us to forget about the Epstein files.
Well, Charlie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
This has
God
been
bless you.
God bless you. Incredible experience.
I love your name. Justice, justice, we shall pursue.
Oh,
is,
yes.
is one of my favorite scriptures. So
thank you.
You
I
shall
appreciate
pursue.
that.
God bless
Sir.
you.
God bless you. Thank you.
This was an amazing interview. I encourage you to go watch the whole thing. It'll be linked in the description. This was a commentary about this interview, so there's a few parts cut out just to expedite it. But it was really amazing to watch. Go check them out. If you like what you saw here, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.